If you're new to this channel and you love movies and martial arts, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything. Welcome to Fight Scene Friday, the show where we analyze the fight scenes from some of your favorite movies. And on today's show, we're going to be looking at the fight scene between Tony Jaa and Lateef Crowder from The Protector. There was some crazy action in this movie, but for me, this fight scene tops it all. Like, Lateef Crowder, I've been watching him on YouTube for a while, and he used to be part of a stunt team called Zero Gravity. The reason he stood out was because of his style of capoeira and bringing that to a martial arts stunts, and I've never seen that before. A lot of people mistake capoeira for dancing and they don't realize the fighting application behind it and the history behind it. So what I love about Lateef Crowder is that he brought capoeira to the big screen, to action films in a really good way. He actually showed capoeira's practical application within fight scenes, and if you play Tekken at all, you know about Eddy Gordo, and he is the real life Eddy Gordo. In fact, he played Eddy Gordo in the Tekken movie, and there's no one else good enough to play Eddy Gordo than this guy. And you really see it in this fight scene. You're like, this is the real life Eddy Gordo. We need to see a Tekken movie with this guy. Tony Jaa, again, the guy who brought this beautiful, amazing stunts to the big screen with his acrobatic style fused with Muay Thai from Thailand. He really is a pioneer for doing some of the craziest stunts on film. I remember seeing On Back for the first time and seeing, you know, him flipping over cars and doing the splits while sliding under cars and doing some crazy acrobatics, but then mixing it in with that Muay Thai style, you know, the elbows and knees. Absolutely loved it, man. To see these two kind of titans of stunt world come together to do this fight scene was just beautiful, man. It's in such a great setting as well. This kind of temple that's been destroyed by these thugs, and then obviously it's on fire, so there's sprinklers and there's water everywhere, so it really enhances the fight scene. The sprinklers stop and then Lateef starts with these sequence of kicks, which is just beautiful to see, man. It shows the non-stop movement of capoeira. You're always moving, you keep going. The jinga, you're jingering, but you're doing the jinga, but you're also throwing movements. And you see in the fight that Tony Jaa's character finds it hard to kind of deal with this style of fighting. He's confused by it. He's trying to figure it out because he's not come across it. And the movements are very unorthodox to him. And you see that in the fight, he's not able to handle it. And he gets knocked out during the fight, you know? He gets knocked down anyway, should I say, during the fight. And you can see the confusion, the militia, I think they call it militia in Portuguese. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. That deception. I think capoeira is based on two things, militia and mijinga. Mijinga means constant movement, I believe, and militia is the deception. And the deception of capoeira is you think you're getting one thing, but you're getting something else. So people think it's dancing, but it's really a martial art. You think the capoeira fighter is going one way, but it goes another. You're not expecting that kick to just come out. You're not expecting that Mea Lua kick to come out and knock you out. You know, you're not expecting the movement that happens in the fight. And I felt like this fight scene showed that very well. Obviously with capoeira, there's that deception that goes on. And within this fight, you could see that Tony Jaa was struggling to deal with the deceptive movements of capoeira. He was struggling to deal with this unique style that he hadn't come across and this unique fighter. I just felt it made for a beautiful fight scene between these two very acrobatic fighters as well. And you see later on in the fight, Tony Jaa has to adjust. He has to adjust his fighting style to match with Lateef Crowder's capoeira. Now, what I love is that Tony Jaa, being Tony Jaa, he's able to adapt to the fighting style, and he starts to kind of take on elements of capoeira. He even starts doing a little bit of break dancing more during the fight, and I thought that was a really good element of the fighting. He kind of figured out certain movements, like he figured out how to take Lateef down when he was doing certain movements. He had certain patterns in the fight he'd seen before, and he was able to adapt, and I thought that was really good. And I thought that kind of showed his skill set as a martial artist, and as, again, through character, through action. This is a guy who's very highly skilled in martial arts, as we've seen through this film, but he's a guy who's also able to adapt to his opponent, because he fights various opponents within this movie, different people with different strengths. And again, Lateef brings a different kind of strength to the game. So it's another puzzle for him to figure out, but he figures it out by adapting his style to the capoeira, by kind of mimicking the movements and adding a bit of break dancing in there, a bit of unorthodox movements of his own, and then mixing that with his Muay Thai and his acrobatic style to win the fight. Now, unfortunately with this fight, Lateef Crowder actually got injured in the fight, so they weren't able to finish the fight off. And you actually see it at the end of the fight, because the way that Tony Jaa finishes him with those sequence of spinning kicks, like he finishes him off with a kick at the end, and it's almost like he just kicked him and then the fight was over. And it just cuts to the next fight scene between Tony Jaa and I think it was John Fu, I think his name is, a Wushu fighter. That sequence obviously wasn't finished. You could tell it wasn't like a killer blow or knockout blow. You could tell Lateef Crowder had just been kicked, but they had to finish the fight earlier, and apparently there was a more extravagant sequence to finish the fight, but because Lateef was injured, they had to finish the fight quite abruptly. But for what they did, it was still fantastic. You know, the fight scene is fantastic. One of my favorite fight scenes, absolutely love it. If you haven't seen The Protector, I believe it's called Tom Yum Goong in Thai. I believe in the UK and the US it's called The Protector. Actually, in the UK they called it The Warrior King, because I remember actually I bought it on DVD and it was called The Warrior King here, but the US called it The Protector. It's got so many names I get confused. Check it out for this fight scene alone. There's some amazing fight scenes in this movie, but I mean, this one's my favorite, especially because of Lateef Crowder and the capoeira skills that he brings to the game. So definitely check that out. So if you like this video, hit that like button, share, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this fight scene. Did you love what Lateef Crowder brought to the fight scene with the capoeira style? Did you think that Tony Jaa adapted well to the fight scene? Let me know in your comments down below. I'd love to know your thoughts on this scene. And remember, behind every fight is a great story. I'll see you next week for another Fight Scene Friday. Peace!